Okay, previous time we discussed the introduction of Unit 2, the role of women and this is essential question. Okay. So, girls, do you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. Previous time we talked, I don't remember where have we stopped exactly, so remind me, okay? Because previous time we took the Great Gatsby. We talked about the author, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and his wife. And we talked about what happened to his wife Zelda, and we saw a video, a short video of how she got mentally sick at the end of her life, and then he went to live next to her town, to the town that she stayed there, and then she died. And he was a friend to these great authors, English authors. Okay. And then we discussed the Great Gatsby. Okay, and here, this, yeah. Did we discuss this jazz age?
Yes. We talked about.
Yes. They say that at 1920, it was a time of a new era in America and United States. People started to be wealthy, started to be free to change the way how they wear. Okay, as you see in the picture. Okay, we didn't discuss Roaring 20th, right?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. So the novel The Great Gatsby is written, as we said, in 1920, and in 1920 is referred to as a Roaring 20th. Why would you think it was called Roaring 20th?
Miss, it was like a period of time where it was very wealthy and like everything was going like good and everyone had good vibes.
So everything was going what? Parties and money, alcohol.
Yeah.
Everything was going wild. Wild, like the roaring of a lion. Okay. Hello, girls?
Yes.
Mariam, read it, Mariam, please. Mariam? Malika?
Me, Miss?
Mariam Muhammad, yes.
Yes. F. Scott Fitzgerald novel The Great Gatsby is set in the 1920s, which is referred to as the Roaring Twenties, or in Fitzgerald words, the greatest goddess spree in the history. World War I had just ended, and the younger generation moved from small towns to big cities, looking for excitement and new modern way of life.
Yes, so what happened here? World War I had ended, and the youth started to move from small cities to, okay, to from small towns to big cities. Okay, so this is the roaring 20. This was what youth do all the time. They party all the time. Okay, Malika, please read, ya Malika. Thank you, Mala and Marine.
Yes. The Roaring Twenties was a decade of great economic growth and widespread prosperity, driven by recovery from wartime devastation and postponed spending, a boom in construction, and the rapid growth of consumer goods such as automobiles and
Yes.
electricity.
Yes, at that time, girls, I want you to imagine, not now, we are not in 2020. We are in 1920, 100 years before today. At that time, people didn't have that technology, no computers, no nothing. What were the technologies at that time? The technology at that time was what? Automobiles. Automobile is the cars, okay, car, train, that's it, and electricity. And they have just started the electricity, okay. At that time, people used to live in small towns, okay, like in villages. They plant crops, they harvest the crops. This is what they do, okay? they sue, and then suddenly they transform their life after World War One to this roaring 20th, to this open era. Okay, so they are free to do what they want. Yani girls were not used to go out and have parties, not like now, girls. You understand? Yani, can you imagine at 1920 how was it like? Okay, here, so people started to care more about the material. Okay, material. What do you what who you are is what you have. So people started to be wealthy, live in fancy places, ride fancy cars. This is what they care about, and have great parties. This is the life they want. And it was the first time ever for them to have this image that a successful person is a person who has this fancy car, fancy house, and he makes parties all day long. Okay, this was the beginning of the idea. Okay, ليال ليال رغد ليال الرغد
Yes.
غلا oh, ليال or رغد answering me
رغد. Yes.
رغد read يا رغد.
يلا. Mass production made technology affordable to the middle class. The automobile, movie, radio, and chemical
Industries.
industries skyrocketed during the 1920s. Of chief importance was the automobile industry. Before the war, cars were a
A
luxury.
luxury يعني not everyone can ride a car.
In the 1920s, mass-produced what teacher
Vehicles.
became common throughout the U.S. and Canada. Pre-Perca radio
Yes, people, radio became the first mass
became the first
broadcasting media. Okay, then so what was the new technology? Cars that they get cars and radios.
radio.
Yani we are now talking about the time when the radio was #1 technology in the world. Okay, here, the golden age of radio. Thank you, Raghat. Ghala.
Yes.
Now you talk about the 1920s, which is called the Roaring 20th, when people started to get wild. What about the radios, the golden age of radio? Read, Ghala.
Radios were expensive, but their mode of entertainment
Entertainment,
provide
revolutionary,
during
proved
the golden
revolutionary.
age. What?
Yes,
Golden age of radio. Radio programming was as varied as TV programming today. The 1927 establishment of the Federal Radio Commission introduced a new era of regulation. Young women's fashion of the 1920s was both a trend and a social statement, a breaking off from a rigid Victorian way of life.
yes. So when the radio was established or was invented at the beginning, and then people started to have radios at their house, not everyone had radio, okay? So the middle class could afford radios. They used to gather around the radio like this. Even in Egypt, girls, even in our countries, every Thursday there was a party for Kulthum, Abdul Halim. So they used to gather like this around the radio, okay, surrounding the radio, and listen to the radio and the songs, and they know the news. Even if you watch documentaries, historical documentaries, you'll find that they know the news through radios. Okay, family members gather through the around the radio, and they know everything from there. And as we said, it was the beginning of people to break off the rigid, strict Victorian life to a wild life. And here is it. Here is the girls of the 1920s. Thank you, Ghala. Noor.
Okay.
Teacher, can I read after
Yeah.
Noor?
Okay.
Read, Yamas.
Yes.
These young, rebellious, middle-class women, labeled
Flappers.
by older generations, did
Of course,
away
when a new generation starts to act in a way, the older generation called them names, so they were called the flappers.
with the corset and donned slinky knee-length dresses, which exposed their legs and arms. The hairstyle of the decade was a chin-length bob wig had several popular variations. Cosmetic, which until the 1920s were not typical accepted in American society, became for the first time extremely popular.
So what are the most changes that people, women or girls started to wear dresses to show their arms and to show their legs, expose the arms and the legs. They wore makeup, which was not accepted till that time in American history. Okay, and the haircut. And the haircut. Of course, and the kind of dresses. Okay. Then, what about the alcohol? So now we discussed the technology, the radio, the automobiles, and we discussed the cloth of the women. So what about alcohol? Read ya, Maya. Thank you, Noor.
Prohibition in the 1920s made illegal the manufacture, import, and sale of beer, wine, and hard
Liquor is
liquor.
beer and this and alcohol, يعني, generally.
It did not make drinking illegal. Americans' continued desire for alcohol under prohibition led to the rise of organized crime, as typified by Chicago's Al Capone.
Al Capone, they were a gang, a family in they lived in Chicago, and they started to sell the alcohol. Alcohol at 1920 was not illegal. It was illegal to sell alcohol. But when it's something is illegal, it gets expensive. But no, it was not expensive. Why? Because they let people produce alcohol, drink alcohol. They let them. It is illegal, but they didn't force people to stop drinking it or producing it.
became
Speakeasies is those people who speak easy, okay? Blah blah.
became popular and numerous as the prohibition years progressed. They commonly operated with connections to organized crime and liquor smuggling.
Smuggling.
While
Smuggling
you
is when you it's illegal to have alcohol here, so you work as a smuggling to bring alcohol from outside to inside. Okay, but the government let them. So this is Al Capone is like the mafia. The mafia?
Yes.
Yes, Al Capone.
While U.S. federal government agents raided such establishments and arrested many of the small figures and smugglers, they rarely managed to get the big bosses. The business of running speakeasies was so lucrative that such establishments continued to flourish throughout the nation. In major cities, speakeasies could often be elaborate, offering food, live one bands, and floor shows. Police were notorious.
And
Teacher,
live
can you?
bands and floor shows. So as you see in the picture, girls, like the idea of discos and bars. Police were what? Where was the police at that time? Police were bribed by Speakeasy, by those people, by the smugglers. They pay them to stop, okay, and give an eye to the alcohol and everything. It calls corruption, girls. When you pay the responsible man or the man responsibility or the police, it's called corruption in the government. Continue, Maya.
Notoriously bribed by speakeasy
Yes,
operators to
again,
either
what caused corruption?
Corruption is when the government is not functioning well, when you can't bribe people of the government easily, it means there is corruption in the country, corruption.
Bribed by speakeasy operators to either leave them alone or at least give them advance notice by any planned raid.
Yes, so what is this? They give money to, they bribe the police, they give them money. So the police give them a blind eye, they let them do whatever they want, or they tell them they will attack you after tomorrow, so they hide the liquor. Okay? So it was, يعني, it was illegal, but everyone allowed it. Okay? This is, wait a minute. This is, here.
Miss, do you have the movie?
Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
I will tell you. No, this is a movie I wanted to show you, but it's not working with me. I don't know why. Although that I opened it when I was preparing the PowerPoint. The Great Gatsby, we will watch it together, but I have to find a clean version.
You will never find one.
I'll never find. My friend told me so. You'll never find one.
Yeah, you never will.
Yes,
Miss, you never found what?
clear version. This is a video I wanted to show, but it doesn't open with me, guys. I will see after I finish. So this. Let me check this, why this doesn't open. Maybe there is a mistake in the...
Copy paste it.
I copied it, but it is here. I will see. In the break, girls, I will copy it, because in the break I will see it. So let me try the second one. The two links are written, these two links, they don't work. So in the break, I will fix them and I will show you the...
Sure, how do they not work?
I don't know. Although that I saw them while I was preparing, I opened them, I covered them, and I wrote them here.
Teacher,
So let me...
Control V. Control C will copy it.
Yes, I know, but it
Okay.
doesn't work. Let me just finish, and then in the break, in the 5 minutes, I will prepare it. We'll just have 15 minutes, and I'm done. So, girls, why teacher we talk about the Roaring Twenties and the wildlife of the youth? Why? Because at that time, okay, if you...
It was a changing point.
Yes, it was a major changing point in the history of America. As he said for you, before that it was the rigid Victorian style, because these were European, as you remember, European immigrants of Europe who settled down in America, and then after the Civil War, they are Americans, but they had the traditional European way of dressing and everything related to Europe. So the Scott Fitzgerald and his wife, when we watched the video of her life, she was one of these girls, the jazz dream, the American dream, and she lived her life fully. Remember when she used to go to the parties all day long and hang out? She said, I used to hang out with boys and sneak out behind my parents and come in the... So it was the first time ever in history to happen, life to be this way. Okay, so it was like a disease spreading everywhere. Okay, contagious virus spreads everywhere, that all the girls wants to cut their heads like this, to wear this dress, to go to parties. This was the life that they wanted. So Scott's first girl discussed this, and people started to care about the material position. What you have is who you are. Okay, material position. Okay, so before we start reading the excerpt that we'll read is wait a minute. The first scene of the movie, and the first scene of the movie is okay. You can watch the movie. I will search for a clean one. If I didn't find one, you will watch it alone. Wait a minute. No, this is not the first scene. I want the. But look, this is the kind of part is the first scene of the movie. This is the trailer because this is how Rosie appears at the movie.
بس على فكرة لا، نحن عم نشوف الباوربوينت
Only
وعم تحرك الإيد، بس إنه مثل كأنك عم تعملي شي تاني، بس إنه كان معلق يعني.
okay. I'll share it now, guys. The movie of The Great Gatsby stars. Oh, okay. Here I will share it. Here, girls, the novel of The Great Gatsby, we know we have a narrator of a story, right? The narrator of the story, or the story is told from Nick's side of view. Nick is a cousin of Rosie. Rosie is the female character we have in The Great Gatsby. Okay, we have Mr. Gatsby, and we have Rosie, the one he loves, and we have Nick. So the movie starts, or the novel starts by Nick. Nick is the psychiatrist, and he tells him, you'll see now, okay?
The history of the summer Bay in old money East Egg.
Yes, what I wanted to say here, at that time in the United States, they had two sides, old money and new money. What's old money and new money? Old money, those men, okay, Daisy's husband has inherited money from his father, who has inherited it from his grandfather. So they have been rich families since ever. So they are rich. Since they moved to United States, they are rich. And then this other side, okay, there is the new rich, like Mr. Gatsby. Mr. Gatsby was not an original rich man. He was a new rich man. He has just gained his money. Okay, again, so he starts Nick when he says that he went to visit Daisy, his cousin. Okay, girls, so this is the excerpt we will read today. Okay. Hello?
Yes, miss.
Yes. Why are you 28? Where are the others? Who's not here? Okay.
Teacher,
Yes.
going to watch the movie?
Yes?
Are we going to watch the movie?
I told you I will search for a clean version. If I couldn't find a clean version, you will watch it alone. You can find it anywhere.
Okay.
Okay? So I said that I will search it through the weekend. If I couldn't find, you will watch it alone. Okay. So girls, open page 118.
Teacher, can I read?
Yes, please. Who's talking?
Nirvana.
Okay, Nirvana. 1 minute, Nirvana, just bring a tissue, girls.
Okay.
Teacher, aren't we supposed to go to the next period?
Yes, Nirvana, start.
Teacher, aren't we supposed to leave for the next period? So?
Okay, so we start from the next period better than interrupting all. Okay, we'll stop here and we come back, girls. Okay?